Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you and welcome to the latest in our series of Doha debates sponsored by the Qatar Foundation. It may not look much like it, but tonight we're in the Egyptian capital, Cairo, not the location where we had hoped to film, but in a private TV studio. The fact is that the Egyptian government summarily withdrew our permission to film in the old city 2 nights before the debate, and then apparently discouraged an alternative location from hosting us. Someone, it seems, did not wish this debate to take place. We're here, though, and we're in good heart tonight, and our topic is highly sensitive: the role of the military in post-revolution Egypt. Last month, it widened and extended emergency powers amid allegations of continuing torture in military prisons and complaints that military trials of civilians have been unfair. But the general's rule is, by all accounts, extremely popular in the country. A recent poll gave them an approval rating of more than 90%. Many credit them with holding the country together at a time of extreme danger and claim that for now, no one else is capable of running this huge and complex country. What do you think? Well, our motion tonight is controversial, but as always, it's designed to ensure a fair debate. This House believes that the Egyptian military is not interested in genuine reform, and our panelists, as you might expect, disagree fundamentally on the issue. Speaking for the motion, Mohamed Menza, founding member of the recently formed Misr al-Horreya Egypt Freedom Party, and with him Heba Morayef, researcher in the Middle East and Africa Division of Human Rights Watch. Speaking against the motion, General Sameh Seif Elyazal, chairman of the Gomhouria Center for Political and Security Studies. And with him, Gamal Abdel Gawad, Soltan, professor of political science at the American University of Cairo, and former director of the Al-Ahram Center for Political and Strategic Studies. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our panel. So now let me please ask Mohamed Menza to speak for the motion.
Thanks, Tim. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. As we start our debate, we should ask ourselves, what do we mean by real and genuine reform? Isn't it a process that leads to a radical and positive change in the state and the society in order to improve the poor social, economic, and political conditions under which Egyptians lived for decades? A clear-cut divide with the forces, tactics, and strategies of the ancient regime, which have led to the Egypt that we knew on the eve of January 24th. If so, what has the SCAF done on the path of attaining such change? Not much, I'm afraid. If we look at the economic sphere, we'll find that the continuing fragile status of the security meant that investment and tourism sectors, which are both vital for the Egyptian economy, are still badly hurt, with no signs of improvements. In the social sphere, freedoms of speech are targeted, censorship is encroaching on the various forms of expression, and the rights of the Copts, among other minorities and groups in society, continue to be neglected. Politically speaking, and apart from the proclaimed commitment to uphold the elections free and fair, which is questionable, of course, if we take into account the context under which such elections will be held, the SCAF has barely allowed for any active political participation in decision-making processes from various political and social forces, let alone set a clear timeline for a transitional phase which is now expected to last for more than 2 years. This all goes to show that the military is not really interested in giving up much powers to the people, or any power actually to the people. At the moment they have legislative and to a great extent also executive powers, with a considerably weak government currently in place and a fragmented parliament that is expected to be formed. As the monopolizers of the only institutional entity that's capable of exercising the use of force and which has given a good deal of legitimacy from the people after January 25th, the military has been delegated with the responsibility of attaining the objectives of the revolution: bread, freedom, social justice, and human dignity. And now, after more than 8 months from the fall of the previous regime, one can safely say that they haven't put the country on the path of attaining these objectives. Ladies and gentlemen, it is for these reasons that we call you today to vote for this motion, that the House believes that the military is not really interested in pivoting for real or genuine change in Egypt. Thank you.
Mohamed Menza, thank you very much indeed. You were calling for radical and positive change. You don't notice any change? The proliferation of political parties in this country now, the free vote that's taking place, the former dictator and his family put on trial, people tried with corruption. All this necessary steps towards democracy, all this has been guided by the military rulers, and has happened on their watch with their agreement and their active participation. How can you say nothing has changed?
I don't think that we're debating for the fact that positive change has taken place after the ousting of President Mubarak.
But they've spearheaded it, haven't they? The military has spearheaded this change.
I think every single bit of positive change that happened in this country was earned by the people of this country, and it was not given by the military.
But if it wasn't given by the military, they're certainly not standing against it. So they're showing no signs of wanting to interrupt the process towards democracy.
I think
if they're allowing all these political parties to function,
I think
free votes to take place, you can have elections.
There are a lot of signs, on the other hand, that show that the military, as we just said and as we will say throughout this episode, are not really interested in pivoting for other positive change.
But how much do you expect in 9 months? How much do you expect?
I expect a lot more.
Look at the political dialogue and the space for political dialogue in this country compared to what it was.
What we're debating here today, Tim, is
reform. We're debating a genuine reform. Is the military interested in it? It's taking place with their full agreement and backing.
I'm not sure that this is with the full agreement.
And now the authority, which is the military government in this country, the military authorities, are standing back and saying, go ahead, have your political parties, have your elections.
Well, have
elections. Put the old leaders on trial. I don't see what your complaint is, that in 9 months I would have thought that was a lot of positive reformist change.
I don't think so, because at the same time in which we're witnessing political opening, we're also witnessing other forms of restrictions on freedom of expression, restriction on political action, and it's not just enough to have a cosmetic process of having some so-called political entities that have not been given the time and have also been exposed to a lot of pressure from the military and from the authorities on their actions and activities throughout the country.
All right, Mohamed Menza, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Now let me call on General Seif Elyazal to speak against the motion, please.
Thank you very much. I just want to remind you, if you remember 1st of February, when the SCAF came and they announced the first message to the public of Egypt. They said, we're going to protect the revolution. We will not fire any bullet against any Egyptian. Number 3, they want the regime to be changed. Remember the date, it's 1st of February. Mubarak was still there. Just imagine that if Mubarak will not leave the power on the 11th of February, what is going to be happen, or what will happen to these guys? Execution, I'm sure. They took the risk and they insisted that they will support the revolution, whatever the result is after that. This is number 1. Number 2, what they did in the 9 months. I'm going to highlight very important issues and I'll leave the rest maybe during the questions. If you remember, parties in Egypt, if you'd like to form a party in Egypt, you have to go through a very difficult procedures. You have to go to a committee, which 99% of the time they refuse to form a new party. Now, you don't need to go to anywhere. You just send a piece of paper to announce that I'm going to form that party. Easy and simple. 49 parties now in Egypt. There were 24, now 48, 49 today, I think, in no time. Easy to go. Democracy. Again, as soon as they took power, what they did, first thing, disassemble the General Assembly, the parliament, because everybody was complaining it was not fair election. Same thing for Shura, democracy. Then no more old parliament, no more old Shura council. Constitution, everybody was complaining about constitution because Mubarak actually tailored that constitution for his needs. No limits for presidency, forever, lifetime. What they did, SCAF, they changed the constitution, referendum took place to take the opinion of the people, you agree or not, and first item they deleted that particular one. Everybody was complaining about it, everybody in Egypt. Thank you for the time, Tim.
General Seif Elyazal, thank you very much indeed. If the military is so keen on democracy, and you've talked about the political parties, why the need to torture people in military prisons, to have forced virginity tests on women who were taken into military captivity?
That was not really true. Let me tell you. Yes, many people, they're talking about that. not a single case went to a hospital and they came with a certificate, medical certificate saying...
But we saw the pictures, a video posted online, September 28, showing members of the army and security forces beating and electrocuting detainees. Why is that necessary if the military is as popular as it seems to be in this country?
First of all, I don't trust any videotape because you can put this, things and you can delete things and you can, the software now.
But would you trust Major General Abdel Fattah al-Sisi of the Supreme Council, who said, in answer to questions which were put to him by Amnesty International, he said the culture of the army needed changing and orders had been given now not to abuse detainees. That suggests that something seriously wrong was happening.
I'm not denying that nothing happened, but first of all, they actually agreed that another video came and the SCAF, they mentioned that they are questioning officers participating in that particular issue.
But such behavior really undermines.
Yeah, but virginity is something else. Virginity, I'm still very hesitant to believe it. Believe me.
And the military trials of civilians, 11,000 trials of civilians, was that really necessary if the military is committed to democracy and reform?
They were more than 11.
More than 11,000.
To be frank with you.
Four times the number under the Mubarak era.
I'll tell you why.
Sign of democracy?
There's a reason for that. Yes, definitely, yes. I'll tell you why. Normal procedures takes a long time. And we know that Egyptian justice is very slow. And I mean, everybody knows that. You have thugs, you have arms in between illegal hands, you have instability, you have security is not in a good place.